Someone was telling me that he had been in a store and he overheard one man talking to another. I don't think they knew each other, he told me. This guy was just talking to him, to me, to anybody who was listening. And he was talking about President Obama and how he had issued nearly 1,000 executive orders, far more than any other president, and that the next step was going to be that people were going to be rounded up and put into camps. What is an executive order, I asked. I don't know, he said. I stopped listening. I left the store. I'm not going to countenance talk like that by listening to it. That's crazy talk. And it does sound like crazy talk. Following World War II, there was the Cold War, with the two superpowers, the USA and the USSR, contending for supremacy with nuclear arms, missiles, satellites, political philosophy, and much posturing. Because of the A-bomb and the H-bomb, it was an uneasy time. The prospects were doubtful and there was much at stake. Mutual destruction seemed to be a real possibility. Books and movies created various scary but highly plausible scenarios. People went to the extreme of building fallout shelters, and there were federally operated camps built to house those who could not be trusted. There was an emergency detention act that could be used to put people in those camps. Extreme times, you've heard it said, require extreme measures. The Red Scare was on. Back in the Depression, before the war, some people had turned to communism as a potential political ideology that could give common people a chance at a better life. Times were so bad that people, as they say, were grabbing at straws. Communism looked promising as a possible way out, at least deserving of some investigation. Following the war, given the new global political realignment, any association with communism, however tentative or brief, could undo a person living in America. The House Un-American Activities Committee was formed. It was high drama, especially with the new factor of television. Politicians could parade their loyalty to the country and pillory others with a shaky background. A person could make a name for themselves on that stage. A person could use this forum to make a career. HUAC's job was to uncover people with communist connections. This was to preserve the society of our nation, or a witch hunt caused by the Red Scare, depending on how you looked at it. Regardless, it was big news. The committee, led by Senator Joe McCarthy, Tail Gunner Joe, was out looking for pinkos. And if you had any history at all in dealing with communism, then you had cause to worry. High-profile witnesses were the best. They caused a sensation, lots of publicity. The committee began to call a number of well-known people from Hollywood to appear before them, take an oath, and testify. It was fertile hunting grounds. Many of these people, artistic types, were liberal in their political beliefs, and that might have led them to test the waters of communism back when times were so bad, economically. The committee wanted to know if they were, or ever had been, a card-carrying communist, a so-called fellow traveler, a member of the Communist Party, a potential threat to the security and sovereign power of America, possibly a spy, an infiltrator, a traitor. And the committee also wanted a person to assist them in their work, to provide them with the names of anyone they knew who was or had been or might have been a communist. If you refused to testify, they had the power they had the power to detain you, to send you to jail or a detention camp. As you can imagine, there was a great deal of fear and distrust connected with this. And so people, when they appeared before the committee, had to choose between personal loyalty and patriotic duty. This was not an easy choice in Senate chambers with the cameras rolling. Some were proud to stand up and support their great country. Some didn't see the point of the patriotic battle, but they were frightened and they had a lot to lose. So they made admissions and they named names. Others refused to participate, and for years they were blacklisted, denied a chance to work. Some went to jail. Were any sent to the camps? I don't know. But the camps were there, and the threat, at least, was real. The threat continued until people realized that the Red Scare had run its course. Inevitably, the pendulum swings back. The Crucible had an effect, as did High Noon and the Maple Street episode of The Twilight Zone. Times were good, the war was over, the Korean conflict was over, and there were better things to do than to hunt for pinkos. The Cold War continued, but the internal struggle subsided. As to whether or not it could return, that could be just crazy talk. Or not. A lot depends on what's at stake and the level of fear. Fear and terror come hand in hand, and when they appear, reason and moderation scatter. Anything is suddenly possible.